Okay, 3-0 the Unicorns.
We lost the chance we had, so we only have one shot left, and it is winning Gauntlet.
We can win against anyone pretty much, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
The main goal for us is making it Worlds.
Just a step on the way, you know, like they're not great. We're better than them.
I think it's going to be a close series, an exciting one as well.
So you never know what Unicorns is going to show up into those games.
We can just prove, like, the people that we actually deserve to go to Worlds. We can prove it to ourselves as well.
I just know that the best team is going to make it through.
Just play my best and try to reach Worlds with everything I have.
We deserve to be on the top 3 of Europe to go to Worlds.
Welcome to our continuing coverage of the 2015 European Regional Qualifier, where just one series separates our two contenders from the final European seed at Worlds 2015. It is go time for our teams. Origen coming back to the building after winning their first best-of-5 yesterday, but it's round 2 for them. One team stands between them and Worlds, and that is this team right here, the Unicorns of Love, where Power of Evil is working on his Oriana mechanics, so it seems, by the pool before getting into the game today. I'm Evie Shokusupurtre, joined by James Stress O'Leary and Gambit Gaming's coach Shans, as we cover the series that will send one of the teams on stage to the World Championships. Shans, thank you so much for joining us. I know you are practicing hard with Gambit for the promotion tournament up next week. How's that going?
Yeah, so hi everyone. Yeah, we are practicing really hard with Gambit to maintain our spot in LCS actually. I wish we were in this playoff spot or gauntlet, but in the end, like, we just have to fight against Mousesports, but it's going super well, so I'm pretty confident. Yeah,
that's next week. We'll, of course, all be there to watch that as well. For now, we're going to focus in here on the match at hand, and it's been a long road for the teams rather, here today. Of course, yesterday, Origen pushed to the full 5 games when they faced Rocket in the end, but it was a severe test for them.
Oh, it was a lot closer than I think everybody, including Origen, was expecting them to face yesterday against Rocket. Rocket stepped up a lot. Origen maybe a little bit shaky from what we have seen, but just in general, Origen managing to edge it out. A little slow off the blocks, but finished that series 3 games to 2.
Yeah, I think that Origen a little bit underperformed during those games, and I think that Rocket had the upper end during the World Series, but mainly the first game of this BO5 for me mattered a lot because Rocket had the game, and in the end, Origen just, I would say they stole the game a little bit, and just won with their greedy comp.
A greedy comp, you say? We also heard in the video here beforehand, a very much a change for them. Beforehand, it was like, okay, we'll get to playoffs, we'll see what happens. Now, after that game versus Fnatic, at least, it seems like they're a lot more confident. Amazing is saying, well, we are better than them. Expect is saying, we deserve that seed. How will that influence them going into this game, Shans?
Well, I think first that saying that they deserve to be in the 3rd spot, they have to show it. They have to prove themselves that they are worth going into Worlds. And maybe Amazing was a little bit tired after this game, so he had to say that we are worth going to Worlds. But I think Unicorn has a shot, and never kill a unicorn before it's dead.
That's a good point. Well, yesterday, Rocket unfortunately didn't make it, but they did put up quite the fight. And at Fnatic Affairs thinks their top laner really showed up, writes, unbelievable, more like unbesteevable. Here is your LCS big play of the day.
We'll continue as a 1v1. The crunch doesn't connect, but the Mega Gnaw does. And there goes Steve shortly after. One more house goes out, and if he's low, actually killed by Steve. Steve!
You know him pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. He learned everything in Sparta when he was with us as a team. So this is basic Steve, that he played really well in this moment.
They definitely stepped up yesterday. In the end, it wasn't enough for Rocket. OG won, and with their win over Rocket yesterday, Origen advanced to today's finals, pitting them against the Unicorns of Love in a do-or-die series. Neither team qualified for Worlds on points or winning the split, obviously, so this is their last chance to qualify.
Yeah, it's a really interesting match. It's our Spring Split 2nd place team against our Summer Split 2nd place team, and you know, that's why Unicorns have the higher seed. They have the points from Spring Split, which gave them the choice on side for 1, 3, and 5 in today's matches.
That is today's match here over in Europe, and after we wrap everything up here, Team Liquid is going to take on Cloud9 over in North America in their regional qualifier final round to see who goes to Worlds. And they did it again. Cloud9 yesterday, the reverse sweep. I mean, is that a game plan? How does that keep happening?
Yeah, I saw it through all the 5 games. It was pretty crazy. Like, to be honest, now that Cloud9 did 2 reverse sweep in a row, I feel like they really have a really strong identity, you know, like I just pulling up Shyvana, Kha'Zix jungle, Amumu. Okay, he lost, but just strong identity. And I feel like maybe they can do this against Team Liquid, even if I think Team Liquid is the biggest beast that they have to be afraid of.
Be afraid of, yeah.
Yeah, I think if I'm Team Liquid, I'm just like, maybe we let them win game 1. They won't know what to do. They can't reverse sweep while ahead. You can't do that. No. Well, they've had some weird picks and bans, but seems to be working for Cloud9. Team Liquid, a very tough opponent, though, I think, for today.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Enough talk about NA, though, for now. We have a score to settle here in Europe for the final ticket to Worlds between the UOL and Origen. Start by taking a look at the Unicorns of Love, Vizicachi, Horo, Power of Evil, Vardags, Hylissang, and their coach, Sheepy. If we take a look at their playoff run, of course, they beat Roccat in the end. It went to the full 5 games, but then their 3rd place match, their game versus Fnatic, it was not good. Honestly, it was some of the worst play I've seen coming out of the Unicorns of Love.
I completely agree with you. It's a very strong statement, but honestly, you look at the last couple of series, when it comes to the Unicorns, their early game has been so shaky. 1,800 gold deficit on average against H2K at 20 minutes. And, you know, it's gone from bad to worse with them. Not only have they had these weak early game starts, their picks and bans phase, before the game has even begun, in the last 2 series, they're 0-3, and so much of it has come from just obscure picks and bans phase, different mid lane picks, and Power of Evil right now has just such a different champion pool to what the meta is. It makes it so difficult for his team to actually play.
Yeah, definitely. We just see now the Syndra, Kayle, maybe Kog'Maw is fine, but Ezreal, this is like maybe outdated champion, you know? He can make them work. Maybe in 2 months it's gonna be the next best champion, but...
He's hearing us right now.
In the end, I think that maybe... Okay, hello. He can maybe like improve his champion pool, or maybe he just shows that he has struggled into playing those meta champion like Azir, like Victor maybe. And I would like to see him on Varus or Jace. They are really good champion. Not Jace, but Varus is really good on him, and he's really performing really well on this champion.
Yeah, he's played well on it before. Indeed, they're going into the huddle there before the game. Sean's as a coach. When this happens, when you know that you have a mid laner who is mechanically very proficient and who would do good on those other champions, would you then step in and say, hey, come on, let's practice this, let's try this, let's change it?
Wait, Sheepy is hearing me? Yeah. Sheepy is doing really, really well. Sheepy is the best, I think. No, joke apart, I think that Power of Evil is really strong in the mid lane. He is the key for the Unicorn of Love. And if he's confident into playing Kayle, okay, you can go on Kayle, but make it work. If he's not working, then go back into other champions. This is basic, you know. It's like when we tried with Cabochard, GP top. Back in the days, it was working really well in scrims, but not in LCS. So I said,
might work
okay.
now, though.
This is now different. But now I say, okay, GP, we won't play anymore because it's not working. So let's see how it goes. But I think Unicorn has a shot. And Power of Evil maybe train even something more cheesy, or maybe just train the Victor, the Azir, to show up really big today.
Certainly has been a big factor for the Unicorns in both wins and losses. Recently, though, another big factor for the Unicorns has been Horo out of the jungle. Coming in, he seemed to be a little bit of a remedy for some of the problems the Unicorns have, but that kind of dipped off very quickly. And Horo in the last couple of series has not had the best of games. We just saw some stats on screen for Horo when it comes to his early game performances, again, against H2K. 1-6-4 at 15 minutes, and overall, 0.5 KDA in that series. He's been struggling to find his footing and find control in the jungle, but it's not always just about Horo. There's a lot more to it when it comes to how to play out the map as a jungler.
Yeah, I think Horo, when he arrived in Unicorn, was really hyped because, if I remember correctly, Unicorn decided to go for Gilius, and then they added Oro and Airwax as a substitute, and everyone knew, I mean, at least pretty much everyone knew that Oro or Airwax would replace Gilius, and Oro had the, everything to perform. He had the hype, he had the level and everything, and he need to show up even better than what he did, because to lose 6 games in a row like this, not performing, okay, maybe jungle is a role that is dictated by the way laning are going, but also you need to perform as the pure jungler, you know, like having first blood ganks like Jenkos, having good map control, having good pressure like Rainover, you know, something that defend him.
Yeah, Horo definitely will have to step up here because they're up against Origen with Amazing, who's also very aggressive. So let's take a look at that lineup. So as Amazing, Expeke, Niels, Mithy, and the coach, Leduc. You talked a lot about the jungle. What's also very important in this matchup, jungle and support synergy. Yesterday in the game versus Rocket, Deficio mentioned that he thinks that Amazing and Mithy's jungle support synergy might be the best in the West. How will that come into play here?
All right, so in my opinion, jungle support synergy is the strongest thing at the moment in the meta, which means that if you have the best synergy, if you have the two best players that are synchronized, then you will most likely win the early game and the mid game. And then after you can set up ganks with the top laner, because when you get the control with wards of one side, then you can dictate the game basically, because if the jungler is not on this side, it means it's on the other side, so you can set up plays, say to the top laner you can save TP and everything. And I agree with Deficio. I think Mithy and Amazing are showing up immensely, and mostly Mithy, I want to say Braum.
Wow. Easy to make the mistake.
Mostly Braum, but Mithy I would say.
They did go hand in hand yesterday as Mithy and Braum. Very convincing performance on the champion. And, you know, he's up against a support that also plays Braum. We've seen Hylissang, he brought Braum back to Europe when it came to the poke meta as a bit of a counter, and since then it's moved on, and Braum has just overall become a much better support. These two supports are also fairly similar in the way that they can influence the map by roaming, but Mithy is so much more consistent with it than Hylissang is. Hylissang, we see some games he'll roam top, get a flash tibbers with Annie, and great, it sets up the game for his team. Doesn't always happen though. And if they can't get Hylissang into this game, Mithy is going to punish them all across the map.
I think that it's really true, because Mithy has a lot of pressure, but also, like, for example, I'm afraid that Horo, if he faces Gragas of Amazing and Braum of Mithy, he will be like really in trouble in this jungle, and this will be the dictating of the series. I hope that the coach and the players in Unicorn are aware that this might happen. So I think Hylissang needs to play like really roaming stuff, and we need to leave a little bit Vardax 1v1, because I would say like Niels is really stronger than Vardax in laning phase, maybe in control of the waves. But if you play a champion that is safe in the bot lane, that allows your support to roam, then it might open them up for Unicorn to create plays. And we know that Origen has some trouble when they don't have the early game going fluent.
And we also know that Hylissang has done that in that quarterfinal versus Rocket, where he appeared on Annie out of nowhere, seemingly getting that double kill for the team. Final say maybe about this series, the fact that Origen has already had this best of 5 yesterday, and they had to put a lot on the line, which they may have not expected. How will that influence picks and bans and just a general setting going into this game?
Well, Unicorns got to see everything that Origen had in theory yesterday, but I think that Origen have already seen everything the Unicorns have had. Their picks and bans has been so predictable all the way through that I don't think in a week Unicorns will have had anything particularly new that is going to be groundbreaking for them here today. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe they've been sat on something all season and they just were like, well, just bring it out and get
the super long con, a little bit risky.
And one last thing is that Origen is the team that plays the most over all the team. They play, like, they were so close to beat Fnatic to have the number of spots in the world, and they had to like accept the defeat, then come back into 3-2 against Rocket. Now against Unicorn, now they have to face another BO5. So maybe in terms of mental, we saw Amazing having some mental issues, not correct, but I mean it was like really tired after the game, exhausted. So now I think that he might play a little bit, you know, if Origen is like throwing first game or losing first game, maybe mentally like, they can be weak.
It'll be super interesting. Well, you heard a lot what we had to say about this matchup, but throughout the day, we also want to hear from you. So hop on Twitter and tell us which of today's teams is best prepared for the international stage and why is that. As always, send your responses at LOL Esports with the hashtag LCS so we can talk over your answers here on the desk later today. It's day 3, guys. For now, though, it's time to hop on stage for a word with the coach for the UOL, Sheepy.
Thank you very much, Sharks. I'm joined by Sheepy before he heads to the Rift up against Origen. And now, first off, Sheepy, you're in the gauntlet right now. You're going to be the final boss for Origen. Is it easier being at the start or the end of the gauntlet for you guys?
For us, it doesn't really matter. I think we just like to play more competitive games. So I think at the beginning of the gauntlet, it's very exciting for us as well, since, you know, that's why we joined here, LCS. But just play-wise, it doesn't really matter for us. We can be prepared if it's one game. We come prepared if it's more games, and since we only have one day to actually know who we play, there's no difference.
Okay, no difference, but what will make a difference is the in-game. I kind of want to talk a little about in-game shot calling, because I know you guys do it a little bit different from other teams.
Yeah, I think a lot of people say that we have a democratic shot calling, but that takes too much time for us, so I would call it like temporary dictatorship, something around this, where somebody takes the lead in the moment and the one who's feeling the most secure about a call just goes with it. And yeah, so far it seems to work out pretty well. Of course, we have communication issues here and there, but I think a lot of teams have that. So yeah, communication, big point, and the way we do it, I think, is effective.
Okay, effective, but also taking a look at picks and bans, again, you do it a little bit different from different teams. Do your players have the final say in Champion Select, or is it, I want to pick this champion, and then you tell them yes or no?
I would say that they have the final say, but it is in a really clear roster where if you pick something that is absolutely not fitting the comp, we will heavily disagree and just give our opinion. So basically, you will have 2 or 3 champions you would like to play. We discuss a little bit, and in the end, it's your call. And it's like, everybody, please, Power, what is your final call? And then he goes with Kale, and we win the game.
And just win the game. Okay, we'll see if that happens today. Good luck in this game up against Origen Sheepy. Before we head to the cast desk, we're going to hear from Amazing and how he feels that unicorns have a signature style.
They don't try to learn the game as it is. They rather try to still find ways around it, which I still don't understand because it's proven like what's good and it's proven what's not good. So therefore, why do you try to work around something that is already provenly good? There's no reason for you.
I share the same confusion that Amazing does. We'll find out whether or not unicorns have fixed some of their interesting pick and ban strategies that we've heard. I'm QuickShot here with Crepo and Deficio as we load up for the first game in what could be a possible 5 games. At the end of it all, one more team will be locked in for the World Championships, and it will be the last team from Europe. Crepo, we went the full distance yesterday with Origen and Rocket. What is going to change today? Because we're not going to see the same overlaps in Champion Pool that we did from yesterday's series.
I think it was an exciting series overall where Origen had to dig deep and give away a lot of information. Luckily for them, I don't think unicorns have the tools to punish the fact that Origen had to give that information away. Yesterday, there were so many overlapping picks, so much pressure on these flex picks, and most importantly, they had a better mid laner facing against Xpeke, especially in that series. I don't think Unicorns of Love with Power will have the necessary pressure on Xpeke to really put some pressure on this matchup.
So, picks and bans here, we're gonna have the same problems coming in for Unicorns of Love. They don't play Kalista and they don't play Lulu. 2 very big picks for Origen if you look at the entire season, and especially Lulu has been such a strong meta pick. It also means for Origen, because there's so many of these very important key champions missing for Unicorns of Love, you can focus on target bans on your side. And right now, we're looking towards Hylissang.
Yeah, definitely the case. Hylissang has drawn the most bans from Unicorns of Love at all. 18 Morgana bans in total this season out of the 30 games. Gangplank away from Chachi. And that Fizz, by the way, 9-0 in playoffs on 5-14. This is the last series from Europe on patch 5.14.
Also being banned very often by the Unicorns of Love. Another one of these picks they're missing. Azir would be the only one left we haven't seen from Power Weevil. Sivir as a first pick is an option, but then you give up the Elise. And I think the jungle matchup is so key between these 2 guys here, Horo and Amazing. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Unicorns go for Elise, but it's very clear Origen is saying, you got to decide. We can always steal away the other one.
And this pick and ban phase already worries me for Game 2, because I can see the Unicorns mirror the same bans in Game 2, but then Origen, they will not have to ban Braum, they will not have to ban Gangplank, because they'll simply first pick one of them, remove the other, and then suddenly, yeah, Unicorns are in a situation where they want 5 bans instead of 3.
And I understand this first pick for Power Weevil. Again, we mentioned how he doesn't play the Azir. However, Azir has a good matchup into Victor. So Origen technically won't really lose a whole lot, other than maybe the fact that Pekka has looked a little bit shaky on the Azir.
0-3 on Azir.
But that was against Fnatic. At least 2 of the losses. And I feel like it's a different beast you're facing right now. And I wouldn't be too worried. If I'm Origen, I would let Pekka at least have 1 game on the Azir and say, can you carry against Unicorns of Love on it?
I want to see what this man on your screen, Amazing, picks. We heard some strong words from him. Talking about Unicorns of Love, they're not great, we're better. And I want to see that Elise versus Gragas, because in yesterday's series, the Gragas felt like it had a larger impact for at least the first 4 games.
Yeah, Horo didn't have the biggest impact, so my gut feeling initially would tell me Origen looking for maybe an Alistar Gragas pick here. Looks like they disagree with my gut feeling.
The thing is,
first hover though,
if we look at yesterday, I feel like the reason Gragas had such a high impact was because the teams had fairly poor early games.
Yep.
So we got into late game where Gragas would outscale the Elise and be very important in team fights. Yet we got to see the Elise players at least try and have an impact. They were often good at setting up dives. It just wasn't enough for either team to really snowball it. And I still think that in order for Horo to have an impact, he would need that Elise. He would need the stronger jungle matchup to beat out Amazing and also Mythi, who we know will follow. And Thresh Elise together, that combo, hook into Cocoon, fantastic 2v2 you have there, safe as well. You can walk in, you have Lantern to take someone out if you want to D-board. It's just a very good combo for Origen.
Well, safe pick then for Gragas, as well as Siva on the side of Unicorns. Vardag's most played champion. That's his 11th time this split. Going to offer his team all the utility they need, but that's a pretty good combination already. There's some disengage, there's some engage, wave clear. Unicorns looking much better than the last time we saw them play.
I think Unicorns can always be happy when they get Sivir on Vardex. It's exactly what he needs to do, both playstyle-wise, what he can achieve, stay in lane. All he needs to do is wave clear, bring utility to the team so the Unicorns of Love can play around their two stronger lanes, which is Vizicsacsi and Power Evil. And in addition to that, free up Hylissang so he can roam. He still has the potential to go for this Alistar, which should lane fine, get Vardex to lane early game, and then start roaming later on. So Unicorns are not pressured that much in picks and bans as we would have expected.
I agree. The fact that Origen had the 2 target bans versus Hylissang, Braum is almost a no-brain right now. I mean, he's so strong in this meta. But Annie could also be an option for Hylissang. It is the style we like to see from him, where he can be the hard engage and sometimes do the unexpected for himself, and therefore also roam away and have these very impactful early roams. But Origen, I mean, we mentioned it, Azir was open for Peke, so he doesn't really mind too much that Victor is the first pick, because this is a fine matchup for him.
And it all comes down to how well Horo and Hylissang have practiced, because in their initial match, the quarterfinal against Rocket, those roams from Annie were mostly so good because they were in sync with where Horo was going to gank. Later on in the playoffs, that synergy completely dissolved. They weren't working together anymore, they were disjointed, there was no communication at all, and then Hylissang's roam just fell flat completely.
I want to see top lane now. Chachi is a tank player. Mainly, we saw one Gangplank game from him. It wasn't too impressive, but enough for Origen to respect it and ban it away. And that leaves him mainly with Nautilus and Maoka as the 2 standard picks we have seen. He was also picking a blind. We know that Azir was into the Victor, so where there's a last pick option, seeing as Fizz is banned away, Gnar could be what Soaz goes for, just to have that winning lane matchup for himself and give Origen a strong early game with Elise as well.
A lot of time left on the clock there for Origen, but for Unicorns of Love, straight out of the gates, I'm already impressed with their pick and ban strategy. We actually heard Sheepy talking about the player kind of gets final choice. We've moved away from that Kayle and Ezreal mid, and this is a well-rounded team composition, but will it be enough strength to counterbalance the strength of the individual players and team play that Origen are going to put on the map?
The thing about this pick and ban for Unicorns is it's a simple pick and ban phase. They didn't have to make any hard decisions really for themselves. Oh, Sivir was open in second rotation. There we go. We take that for Vardex. Okay, they took Elise. We go for the Gragas. You know, there was no real competition right here. Origen decided to say we don't have to ban away any of your comfort picks. They're going to beat them anyhow.
But picking meta generally is easy, because you know what champions are strong. Somehow though, we've rarely, or we have yet to see that from the Unicorns, so props to them for actually making the right choices. They have a streamlined composition, which is pretty straightforward in what it wants to do, how it wants to play out the games. We'll need to see if they can set up the right plays, and especially if we can get home guards TPs from Vizicsacsi. If he's coming from the front, the amount of disengage coming out of its Flay, hooks, Cocoon, the Azir wall, anything really from the front is going to stop Chachi, so he'll need to teleport flank from behind, home guards in. If he can connect on a 0 Tristana, then we have a fight on our hands.
Hopefully Origen can learn from their warding mistakes yesterday against Rocket, because that is how Steve got into the backlines when he played multiple times, yeah. And we do see Soaz going back to an old faithful, back on the Rumble. Still his most played champion in summer, 5 wins, 1 loss. Now, Origen, of course, fighting. This is Last Chance Saloon. We heard in the videos from these players talking about it. There's one more opportunity. It's time to hit the rift and find out who will be the final team to represent Europe at Worlds 2015.
The main goal for us is making it Worlds.
The best team is gonna make it through, that's for sure.
Everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to do their best.
They're not great. We're better than them.
I believe we deserve to be on the top 3 of Europe to go to Worlds.
We lost against in the semi-finals where we had the first shot, we lost the second shot, and now we will try to not lose the third shot.
One last shot for Power of Evil, and that's the team that he needs to take down. The pre-regional qualifier favorites, it's Origen against the Unicorns of Love in the regional qualifier finals.
After watching Origen for 5 games yesterday, I felt like it was a a little bit of a different team compared to what we saw in the final. There were some early mistakes we haven't really seen before from Origen, where they would fail the ganks, they wouldn't really properly set up how they would start a tower dive, and that was something Rocket could punish.
Yep.
And one of the reasons Origen had a hard time at least getting the early lead and snowball it. That needs to be different now. They have a strong mid-game. You have the Rumble in there, and Xeon one item is really strong at this point. And we know Unicorns want to team fight. Same goes for Origen. There shouldn't be a whole lot of split pushing in this game.
One thing that was great to see, though, at the end of the series, Fischer, was the fact that Origen did figure out how to play aggressively. They finished that last game in 24 minutes. They did get an early game lead, and they pressed very, very hard. So for Origen, there was a glimmer of the team that we'd expected to see. There was a glimmer of the team that we expected to have, you know, a big performance over Rockats. But let's see if they can do that against Unicorns of Love. It's a very similar team comp that Origen were fighting yesterday as well.
It was partly merited to just adapting and pick and bans and just trying to target the weak spots of Rocket and leaving them with a composition that was prone to getting snowballed upon, and that's what Origen did. Eventually, once they had a small lead, Rocket just couldn't fight back anymore at that point. Perhaps they can unlock the Unicorns, so maybe Unicorns have just read this information enough to say, we know how Origen plays and we can abuse that. Some good early trading there from Powerville and Xpeke.
And just all around, a good composition for Unicorns of Love. If it comes to play these team fights, you have good scaling on Victor, Maokai, the Gragas. You have a lot of ways for you to play out these team fights, and as you highlighted in the pick and ban phase as well, the Maokai flank. I do like the cleanse though from Pekka to stop that Maokai from being so effective when he singles out one target. Also, Tristana is one of these AD carries who are very good at defending herself. That can make it a little bit difficult for Unicorns, but then you have a Gragas coming in, then you have an Alistar and a Sibyl, so there are plenty of ways to play this out. They gotta win the laning phase or go even at least though.
Well, we do have standard lanes, gentlemen, and we can see that there's the stats for the mid lane matchup, 1v1. Duos going toe-to-toe. We saw Vardags getting chunked out quite heavily by Niels and Mithy. And obviously with Hylissang's heal, that'll help out. The trade also got Mithy's Ignite, so let's pay attention to that, seeing as though Mithy and Niels have already gone aggressive very early on.
And that's the thing here for Origen. You have got double range down the bottom lane, Thresh and Tristana. So obviously Hylissang wants to try and just out-sustain this lane. But then mid lane, at the same time, you have that Azir matchup where you just shove the wave 24/7. Victor needs to get his upgrade on his item before he can start really pushing it back. So you got two lanes now for Origen on the bottom side pushing. That means Amazing could walk in and put up an early ward in the jungle of Unicorns of Love, and he can keep doing that over and over to find this Gragas.
Yeah, Horror will definitely need to avoid Amazing. It's almost impossible to play the weaker early jungler when Amazing has so much fog of war advantage. When he has two pushing lanes, he has more freedom to do whatever he wants, more information to play with. Or does go mid right now. Pekka should know that this is coming. Amazing has cleared right side of the map, so that's why Pekka is leaning to the right, just getting back up from the jungle.
And just makes it so easy for him to walk out, because if you are the enemy jungler, you cannot follow him. You don't want to blindly walk into the river. You have no clue what's waiting, so Horo wisely just backs away. The lane that he could be looking for is top, but that is getting pushed in towards Source, and it's too early in the game to set up a dive. So there's not really anywhere for him to go. You just try and secure Rift Scuttler, get maybe a deep ward for yourself, and go back to farming.
Yeah, we've not actually touched on this top lane yet. Chachi's pushing in Soaz quite effectively, and he's built up a small CS advantage already. Obviously, Soaz is going to grow in levels and power in the not too distant future, but options for Amazing, basically, with pushing lanes and a lane that should be an easy enough gank if Chachi stays deep.
Well, Marco always likes the early levels when he can get that instant level 2 on a camp, and then he can start pushing in. But once we get some magic penetration for Source, it will be just fine, and he should be able to go even up in the lane as long as he avoids the ganks that could come from Horo. Basically, right now, as we said, it is the lane to look for, but it's not going to be very effective this early in the game.
The bot lane got pushed in early, but they managed to even out the CS. Vardax is even with Niels right now, which he does tend to do very often. Vardax was the AD carry that I think went even the most throughout the normal regular season. And then in the mid lane and the top lane, it's just a different story. Chachi pushes in Soas, mild XP advantage. Hylissang face checking for a ward. He's going to get caught hooked.
And the cocoon and the death sentence and the bomb. One or two more shots. Hylissang's going to get Summoner Heal and a triumphant roar, but forced to flash away defensively. First aggressive move from the junglers pays off in favor of Origen.
But Source needs to be careful.
Let's find out. Flash early. Horo's not going to follow. We'll be happy with the trade. We see Amazing, he's still not left the bottom lane. Lantern is going to get pulled in here from Mithy. Early aggressive start from Origen. Defensive stop from Vardax to get away from the Flay. And that splashes all across the map.
So again, we talked about how Amazing he had control of the bottom side of the map. Horo, he was on the top side. Very easy for Amazing and very safe, honestly, to walk down the enemy jungle, get that first gank, catch out Hylissang, force the summoners, and then, of course, Soaz needs to understand that, okay, they were actually bottom lane, no jungler, I need to be careful. He had to flash away, though, up top.
I think it was a little bit overzealous from Hylissang to imagine that he could get that ward in. Why would you want to ward Tribush to find a jungler? But there's a good chance he's there already. I think it would have been safer just warding over the wall and playing back until Amazing reveals himself somewhere. Unicorns lost a lot of pressure there. The CS advantage that we were saying was equal earlier, now has manifested into a 20 CS lead almost for Niels, and he should easily be able to back for a BF sword.
And now the key is here. You forced so many summoners on the bottom side if you are Origen. Well, up top you got the flash from Soaz. Will we see the return gank coming in? It is almost too predictable. In a way, Soaz should know for the next few minutes he will be the target for Unicorns of Love, but the same thing happens down bottom side. Then we start talking about setting up a dive instead, because we're getting further and further into the early game, and you're suddenly strong enough as a level 6 Maokai to push down a Rumble and go for an easy dive with this Gragas.
We'll find out whether or not Horo can execute on that easy dive to Fishio, or whether or not Amazing wants to do the same bottom lane. Niels has returned to lane with a BF sword versus Vardag's pickaxe. That is going to hurt for the next few minutes. We did watch Horo clearing out that pink ward middle, in the middle lane rather, and Mithy's now returning the favor to Unicorns of Love.
And this is something you can almost put money on. Mithy going to the mid lane right after he bases. Most supports are doing this in this metagame, so it's almost predictable. Whenever the first base happens, AD carry will go back to lane. The 6 CS you could potentially drop if you get zoned off is worth the fact that your support could sneak in, potentially blow a flash, blow a summoner in the mid lane. If he did that, he cleared a pink ward instead and then left a deep ward in the jungle, I believe. So good roam there, good vision control. That's what Mithy and Amazing generally excel at.
And instantly he spots Gragas walking by to the red buff. So what does Amazing do on the other side of the map? Well, he walks into the jungle and he can now check the camps. He's going to see when they respawn and he can even place his own ward. So Origen right now, even though Amazing and Mithy are not running together, they're working together on setting up this deep vision.
I want to see how long that little pink ward actually lasts just in front of the wolf camp, because that's one of those cheeky bushes that doesn't get spotted all of the time. Keep a close eye on that one.
But these early wards are so key now for Unicorns, for Origen, because again, there was no flash on Soaz. He also has backup, so he can now shove his wave out and try and reset it on the tower, so he's not open for this very easy gank.
Amazing's not looking for ganks right now. First step is controlling the vision, then you can work with that vision to play aggressively in lane. Force out Hylissang, for example, play him backwards.
Wow, Mithy's going to eat a headbutt under tower. Rocket jump forward from Niels. Explosive charge plus Buster Shot gets the kill. Teleport starts being channeled from Chachi and is cancelled from Chachi. That means Mithy decides to go in aggressive, finds another flay. Niels gets the kill in Origen. First blood.
You have full control of where the enemy jungler is, so you can jump aggressive into 2v2 lane because everything is warded up. They spot Horo on the top side of the map. You can go for this. You didn't need a second gank to get the kill, but the fact you blew all these summoners before meant that you can go for these plays, you get a kill, you're already ahead in this bottom lane. This is perfect for Origen.
And that is the value of deep wards. If you ward close to lane, you're being greedy. You're not being a team player because you're only creating vision for yourself. 2 or 3 deep lords can entirely control the map in the early game. How do you spot the jungler, or you find it by process of elimination? Now Soaz is getting engaged by Chachi.
He is going to be in trouble. There's support from Hylissang as well as Horo. Hylissang's coming in. There's no flash. The headbutt, the pulverize. Soaz is knocked up. He's pinned against the wall. And it's Horo that secures the kill. Amazing. Finds the cocoon on Chachi. Chachi's going to reset tower aggro with the arcane smash and the twisted advance. Horo and Amazing trading blow for blow, but no other support means UOL get their first kill.
I really like this roam though from Hylissang. This is what he's good at doing together with Horo. He dies in the bottom lane, but he also knows that Origen invested so much they have to back away. That meant that easy for Vardak to just shove out the wave on his own, and he can now go top lane. And Amazing was there, yes, but against 2 other guys, he can't do anything.
Oh, good dodge of that pulverize from Amazing. Wasn't a whole lot of follow-up damage, but it looked good. And we're going to see Mithy again replacing the ward, seeing both the support and jungler are up top. There is a Tribush ward in the top half, though, from Unicorns, but it is not as deep as Origen's vision.
Yeah, just look at the amount of information Mithy is gathering for his team right now. Either he spots them on the right side of the map, or he knows where Horo can be. Compare that to the vision that Unicorns of Love have right now. 1 single deep ward in top try, and that's it.
And then 2 apparently in the push up top as well to see what's going on.
Gotta get that brush control.
Yeah, and you can see the difference in itemization. Moby Boots for Hylissang, yes, it helped get a kill, but the amount of information Mithy's got from his Sightstone first build is paying off. That pink ward, by the way, still surviving just behind that wolf camp. It's 3 minutes alive for now. And we've actually seen Power of walk past it once or twice. So Origen doing significantly better with early vision in the first 10 minutes of the game.
And with all these early fights we've seen down the bottom lane, the gank first, it meant that Vardax went back to base, couldn't get a BF sword. Okay, so that's bad for him. Then his support dies, he loses another trade, he goes back, and once again, he only has 800 gold average plate. So he's extremely weak right now. He's trying to just farm up for 2 items. And the Tristana is so good at fast pushing down these towers, especially once you get some early AD. So it's going to be super easy for Origen to now move Nils around and just take out the remaining outer turrets.
The good thing for Unicorns of Love is that their key lanes are still ahead. We're talking about mid lane and top lane. Some vision control here in the middle. Amazing fighting for the Scuttle Crab.
He's going to find a death sentence. He puts down the box pretty early. Mid laners are starting to roam. 2 men get hit by the flame.
Nice.
Here comes Pekka. Emperor's Divide throws Horo into Neil's waiting hand. Pekka's trying to zone away Power of Evil, but he's going to find himself stuck between PoE and Vardax. They've traded 1 for 1. Jungle for mid. Helisak should follow shortly thereafter, and it's Niels that's 2-0-1.
Very greedy play from Horo. If you guys notice, he body slammed forward. I think maybe he was trying to smite the Rift Scuttler. That meant there was no way for him to suddenly escape other than the flash, and that's not enough to get away from so many members of Origen. 2 guys goes down. Nils is now instantly being put in the mid lane, and Dragon is open, but Origen not going to favor it right now because it slows down the tempo of the game.
Yeah, Unicorns can't afford to contest these objectives unless they have a teleport and deep wards behind the Origen lineup, so Chachi can go in, because he's the one that's actually ahead in the lane. Now 21 CS up against Soas. Eventually he'll get his items completed, get tanky enough, and get home guards. That's the breaking point for the Unicorns. They need to keep Power of Evil even in the mid lane. Chachi ahead. You can sack some farm on Vardax because he's a utility AD carry. That's what he provides for the team. Alistar from behind still plays well in teamfights because Unbreakable, at least 6-7 seconds, will provide you enough time for yourself in a teamfight, and that's all they need. They need to look for those flanks, and they can't get impatient.
And then we need to see Unicorns optimize the farm. If you run this double carry setup, you cannot really afford one guy falling too far down, because then only one member is doing the damage, and that's too easy for the other team to play around. So right now, Power of Evil needs to speed a guy constantly wave clearing mid or Vardax, but then one of the guys has to go bottom lane as well. And that's what Origen can look for and go down and just dive you. If you push too far up, you won't be able to get anything other than just a gank.
Not going to be the case, but for Origen, very strong start. They do place Niels back down in the bottom lane, not going to focus out top, but look at the itemization difference between Niels. Infinity Edge complete versus Pickaxe, Avarice Blade. It's going to be such a long time before Vardax in this 2-carry setup is going to be relevant. Dragon was started by Amazing, but it is not going to be committed to, despite the fact that TP is available for Soaz, because there's a juicy Pekka. Emperor's Divide comes out, but that's an easy kill. Pekka's just going to get run down. The shuffle comes out, but the storm sends him home.
Hesitation on the side from Origen, and Unicorns are going to be really happy with this because Vardax was sitting on 1.5k gold already. He's so far behind the items, but because they're grouping, they're using on the hunt, dodging the cocoon because it doesn't matter. They're playing to their strengths, they're playing to their composition, and Origen, they're trying too many things at once. They're 1-3-1 pushing, they're trying to go for Dragon at the same time. Yes, that pink ward is still alive after maybe 5 minutes, but there's hesitation on their side.
Yeah, Origen again trying to do exactly what we just talked about Unicorns had to do. Maximize the farm on these 2 carries. We had Nils down bottom lane, just shove it out, and then Pekka cannot be caught out of position right here. You had decent enough vision around the area as well. Big mistake, and Unicorns capitalize.
And thanks to that pink ward vision, there is going to be an easily secured dragon here. Niels plus Amazing going to take this dragon down. That pink ward is placed around 7 minutes 20, by the way, so value for money is exceptional. Both of the last blue buffs previously have been secured. We did see Chachi still pushing Soaz in, and Soaz is still falling behind Chachi. 30 CS is the gap now.
Well, Soaz has been left alone, other than one time where Amazing warded for him and just quickly shadowed his lane, allowed him to push it out. That's about it. Unicorns were the one who set up that kill onto him. So they've been using this Maokai really well, and that's so important for this composition, because the rest of the members, despite falling slightly behind on the AD carry position, they're keeping up. So Unicorns can contest the next dragon if they want to and start taking some of these team fights.
Now the Unicorns are definitely not in a bad position in this game, especially if you realize that Origen, they don't really have a big tank line. Sightstone first on both your jungler and support just eliminates many tanks. That's at least as a jungler herself doesn't get innately that tanky. Gragas does better in that regard. So if it becomes a messy fight with a good flank, a good opening, or just an on the hunt where Hylissang is allowed to combo, then Unicorns can start taking these members down one by one and win these fights.
Getting down that dragon, though, is still key for Origen because it means there's no objective left on the bottom side of the map, and you can now swap your AD carry to the top side and start fast pushing that one in. But Unicorns respond correctly, do exactly the same, and Source is late to the party.
Unicorns traditionally don't care about objectives, though. Ha! Fooled you there.
Traditionally, but we're getting to 16 minutes on the clock. Unicorns have a small gold lead. It should be evened out as we can see Niels and Mithy trying to take the top tower. Chachi, this is going to be a brave attempt at defense. He's going to go in on Mithy. He's got tower aggro. Mithy's in a little bit of trouble. The Ignite is burning down. Niels looking for some kill here. Buster shot was available. Tower continues to stand. It's not over yet. Look at the jungle. Here comes Hylissang. He's got those Moby boots. Pekka's going to get burst down by power of evil. 0-3-2 for Pekka on Azir.
And we see exactly the same problems for Origen as we saw yesterday. They make some early key mistakes that give the other team a chance to take over the map suddenly. So despite Origen making a lot of good moves in terms of vision early on, they make these mistakes, they fall behind. Unicorns had 4 members pushing down the bottom side. It's so easy just to roam mid and say, oh, you're under your tier 1 tower. We don't care. We can just go dive you now because you got 2 guys invested on top side. Easy kill mid as well.
And I'm so happy that Power of Evil is finally playing a meta pick in that Victor. If this was Devourer Kale, he probably would try to be doing a wolf camp at this point. Instead, he's zoning aggressively on Xpeke, forcing him off the tower because he knows his team is backing up. And then he pretty much solo kills Xpeke here, who's en route for his 4th consecutive loss on this Azir pick, showing that it might not actually be contested at all in this series.
Maybe not for the rest of the series. A long time before that gets determined. Hylissang does eat a tower shot. Amazing's looking for more. Death Sentence will connect and instantly broken by the Unbreakable Will. We're 17 minutes in, even on gold. By the 20-minute mark, against H2K in the 3rd place match, Unicorns of Love were down 1,800 gold on average. And now they're actually even, if not marginally ahead, against Origen. Origen looking shakier as the regional qualifier is continuing to play out.
And I'm a little bit worried about what we've seen from Pekka in the start of this game because it's not even been about the champion he's played. He's just been out of position, really. And then the last death here is because Origen as a team give up the bottom side of the map, so he's going to get towered off. And honestly, right there, there's not much he can do other than just back away from it. Don't risk it. And it's just been individual mistakes from Origen.
I think Origen as a team overall are just not respecting the Unicorns enough. Earlier, go back to that Dragon fight where they had people farming on all 3 lanes at once while still trying to contest the vision. You have to respect your boundaries. Mithy and Amazing have secured so much vision overall for Origen, but the remaining team members still have to use it. Now we see some good 2-man double jungle, counter jungle action here, controlling the jungle by Mithy and Amazing. Amazing's slow though, so he'll have to back out.
We do see Niels continues to try pressure this bottom tower though, as Chachi should get the top outer turret. By the way, if you look at that mini-map, that pink one is still standing. It's my new mini-game for this match, 11 minutes alive. A lot of value and information, but for Origen...
Well, Unicorns don't care because Origen didn't use it. They're like, oh, you might spot us, but we can still catch you out.
They got 1 dragon.
They got the dragon, that's true. It's just talking more about how Origen still have managed to be caught out despite having so good vision, which is surprising, but also what the Unicorns of Team Comp will do again and again and again. When you have a Sivir ulti, when you're going to have that Righteous Glory on the Maokai once he joins with the team, there's so much mobility to get from Unicorns. If you're out of position, you won't get away.
What I do like from Origen, though, is we're 20 minutes in. It's even on gold, 1,000 differences. Towers are close, but there's a lot of headroom for Origen's team composition as well. Yes, that Maokai is going to get tanky as his Gragas, but Rumble's going to get more damage. Azir is going to scale. Tristana's going to scale. So there is still time for Origen, and Unicorns have not been a team that's traditionally been able to close out very efficiently and effectively.
I'm going to keep my eye on Vizichachi. Has now finished the Spectre's Cowl. He has Righteous Glory, Mercury Deads. That's the core build for a Maokai into many team comps. He now has to pick up Home Guards. That is the best gold efficiency item that he could possibly get. And then the Unicorns need to start forcing fights while people are out of position. Just teleport Home Guards. They're playing above that pink ward right now. That's why the pink ward right now doesn't have much value that we keep talking about, because Unicorns are playing higher on the map.
Give me the Home Guards and give me the deep wards now from Unicorns. It's their time to take over the map, so you have that chance to TP in behind. Then we can see the value from Chachi, but it definitely is what they're looking for. I mean, again, they're strong enough right now. You got 2-0 Victor ready to fight.
Oro finally getting some parts of his own jungle. Must be happy for that. In full vision for Origen though, and that's the story of the game so far. Everything Unicorns of Love have done, Origen has seen coming from miles away. However, they fail to react at times. Mithy's looking for a pick.
He's going to catch Horo's Gragas, but no further follow-up.
And because Power Weevil can instantly wave clear mid lane now, it means Pekka is forced to sit back and do exactly the same. So he will be a step late. That means suddenly it's safe for Unicorns to walk in and face check the bushes because it can only at maximum be 2 guys right now, Mythy and Amazing. You see Nils on the bottom side. Unicorn should use this, get into the jungle, place these deep wards. We see one now behind, and Home Guards is completed for Chachi. So suddenly, there's a very good ward for Unicorns to use if a fight breaks out.
Yeah, a lot of control by the Unicorns so far. Much more control, too much control. Therefore, Origen can't even contest this dragon. And we're seeing something that we've seen yesterday in the series. Origen up for an early game composition that needs to snowball. Yes, they have 3 carries, but their jungle support duo is relatively early game oriented compared to the Gragas on Horo, whereas they failed to execute it to perfection. And I feel the Gragas would have been better on Origen's side, just simply if they want to play this game, where they take it slow and steady, just get some vision, but don't really go for any real picks. Perhaps it would have been best to invest in a more tanky jungler.
Something we'll investigate as the series plays out, because it was exactly the same story yesterday. By the way, that ward was placed at around 7:20. We're going up to, what's it, 15, 16 minutes alive.
You can start naming your wards after 15 minutes.
Oh, I like that. Even if it's not game-changing, it is giving a lot of free information. It's giving a lot of movement, it's giving camp information. The next blue's going to spawn shortly for UOL, and Origen most likely going to get full vision of when it's being taken.
And now our Unicorns suddenly feel confident invading in because, again, they have that one ward placed behind. If Origen wants to fight it, they should expect that Home Guard coming. Chachi's regoing, and the fight is breaking out.
Let's find out. Equalizer's already been used, and it looks like UOL. Wow! They've taken out Mythy. He just gets insta-geared by Power of Evil. The Death Ray and the Chaos Storm. We did see Pekka pick up his blue buff, but now UOL have a 5v4.
Look at the composition from Origen. They don't have an easy way to start a fight. You're gonna have to like land that hook or the cocoon from Amazing. They rather have Unicorns run at them, but that's what Unicorns comp do best because they have so many ways of engaging. And if you don't have full control of the area when fighting, then Unicorns will be able to easily just avoid your engage and then pop the first target.
At the same time, though, the Unicorns will have to respect and be very cautious around choke points. They almost got caught with their pants on. If that equalizer connected into a potential Shurima shuffle or hook follow-up, it could have been big, but Origens weren't quite in position, just like Niels is not in position right now.
He does find a lantern. Mythy gets caught by the pulverize. Hillistein's got the unbreakable will, but Power of Evil is on a rampage. We do see Niels trying to get more as Hilly will take a tower shot plus Power of Evil. Sheepy is ecstatic with his team's Game 1 performance. They have the lead against Origen, and they are pushing their lead onto those inner turrets, into the jungle. The minimap is littered with wards, despite there being no teleport for Chachi, so there's a small breathing room for Origen and for Soares, considering he has TP.
But the Unicorns of Love are playing a meta composition. It was easy picks for them in the pick and ban phase. They got the Sivir second rotation. Origen didn't care about it. They got everything they wanted. Chachi got onto his Maokai. And they're playing out this game now really well. Once they started catching out Origen, they never let them back into the game.
This is the first time I've seen the Unicorns in a very long time play a composition with a clear identity and then play towards that identity. They've played certain composition with certain strengths and just completely ignored them. When they played Devour Kale, Power of Evil was split pushing on a side lane and he had 2 stacks around 15 minutes of the game. That is not playing to your identity. And finally, our lone ward, our warrior in the night, is going down.
Even.
Or knows. Or he knows. He knows that's been there the entire game. Back to the point though. Unicorns are playing to their strengths, and Origen, they have triple threats, but the problem is they're always running away. They can't deal their damage because nobody's locking the enemy targets down long enough for the Origen members to actually hit the Unicorns.
And that's something we criticize team comps before from other teams as well. A lack of initiation, lack of tools to start. There are comeback mechanics from Origen if Unicorns overextend. But it's something that we should also be tracking as this series continues to play out. Yesterday, Origen's picks and bans, debatable. A lot of debate and argument could be made. Less so for this comp, but there are still execution discussions.
This pick and ban phase, I looked at the Morgana ban. I don't really feel like it's necessary against Hillistine at the moment. He's favored all the supports above it a lot of times. And then at the same time, we were talking about how, hey, Victor, it's okay, you can pick a Z into it. Now, we didn't really get to see Pekka really play this matchup because he started getting caught out left and right and just fell super far behind. But if that is what Origen is looking at as well and saying, okay, we don't trust this Azir pick, well, then suddenly Victor has to be banned away from Power of Evil or first pick by Origen in the next game.
Picks and bans will definitely be interesting throughout the remainder part of the series. We see Niels still stuck on that side lane, something Origen does a lot. They're not comfortable moving Xpeke out yet. He doesn't have that teleport. I believe we saw Nuketown pick up yesterday, so Niels is on split push duty. By no means is any of these teams out of the game, but the Unicorns of Love are with a better footing in the game than many people would have expected. They've gotten through the rough part, they've played to their strengths. We need to see if they can push it home, or if they keep just playing around the dragon every 6 minutes.
And at this like this now from the Unicorns of Love, they are way too far back on the map. You have gotten the control, you have the engaged composition, yet Origen is allowed now to push 3 lanes at once, get farm on Source, get farm on Niels. Yes, Tristana is safe, she can sit in that side lane, but also get some vision around the Baron. Unicorns need to find a way to force Origen away from it or just engage straight onto them.
Well, Chachi's the one that's been jumped on. So is Niels trying to run him down. Equalizer will try burn, but it will not kill this tree. We did see that on the hunt from Vardags as a defensive ability, but they forced Chachi away, and there's still no TP. Can Origen get anything from that damage or chunk?
Well, they still have the control around the Baron. 26 minutes in, they can start it, but they don't have a tank for it, really. You have Magic Resist on Amazing because he went for the Locket, obviously first item. Nobody really wants to stay on the Baron. And if you start getting chunked down, Unicorns will find an easy way to engage, and Power Wheel might just pop 2 guys instantly as the fight starts.
That was a good punish though by Origen. They're using their vision and making things. Vargas is going low. Niels is jumping.
No,
Niels
Niels got him. Now he turns to Chachi. There's no equalizer, but it may not even be needed. The slow comes out from the Righteous Glory. Chachi gets a big chunk of heal from his passive. Double kill to Niels.
And all of this again is because Unicorns of Love decided to move so far back on the map that Origen got control of the top side. They first get 1 engage, now they get a second one. 2 kills, tower, Baron is open. That's too much.
We often fault teams for playing the game on only 2 lanes instead of 3. Unicorns of Love were playing the game on 1 lane, mid lane. The only thing they were doing to trying to push in Xpeke, but he was holding. This time he didn't get caught. And Origen, yeah, they realized that they count the dots. There's only 1 guy here. Let's jump on him. 2 guys here. We can win the 2v2 because Niels is so far ahead in Vardax in straight dueling potential.
Game 1, Rocket versus Origen yesterday. Rocket got ahead in the early to mid game. Origen fell behind, they made some mistakes. And then Rocket didn't try and push the advantage. They stood back on the map, they started farming. Origen slowly but surely got their way back into the game. They got the control, they looked for the picks, and they won late game. They're looking to do exactly the same now versus Unicorns of Love.
See Xpeke finally recalling, he's sitting on 3,500 gold for the record. About to go spend that with him leaving lane and the fact Origen invested so much top. It's an easy Dragon number 2 for the Unicorns of Love at 28 minutes. But Origen, they now hold the small gold lead. We can see the money has been spent by Peke in his bank account. And he's completed himself that Rylai's Crystal Scepter and picked up a Blasting Wand.
And if Pekka now has good positioning in team fights, then this build here does really well against severe compositions. Because again, you have that Rylai slow against a team who's running at you. And because he's running Cleanse, then the Maokai engage is not as effective as normal. But it requires him to have good positioning when the fight starts. And so far this game has not been the case.
Yeah, it has gotten better as the laning phase has ended, but it's easier when you can just sit on your in a turret only. And we also see Mythy picks up those Captain Boots as well as the Talisman of Ascension. So movement speed forwards and backwards for his whole team.
Yeah, Mythy playing a very, very clear example of what is a backline trash. Not somebody that's playing the front line going for the hook. No, he's basically sitting back, throwing lanterns, allowing people to escape the fights towards him. And just providing some max range CC. However, that means the soul tank in his composition is amazing on the Elise. So if the Origen members get caught sometimes, it could be rough. However, if they have good positioning, they have so much damage.
So let's try and play some bait in the mid
Flank
lane.
from teleport.
Now flank coming, now they're stuck under the Baron as well. Fight will happen.
They will. The Emperor's Divide is already down, but so is the Baron. Defensive flash from Pekka. There's only 1 lantern.
Oh, he took it by Niels.
Took it. Niels is going to be forced to rocket jump over. He does, though. Chachi's left alone in the pit. No one from Unicorns followed. A kill and Baron for Origen.
Niels running to that lantern while you still have jump available.
You wanted everything.
That is greedy. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
It's called being lazy. Why do you have to jump yourself if someone can pull you over the wall? Niels gets out, Chachi follows, and now caught on the wrong side of the wall. Again though, Unicorns of Love are so far back on the map, they're not being proactive. They're not trying to force a mistake from Origen or look for that engage. They're waiting for Origen to make a play and then react to it. This time, way too late. Amazing will also take a Rift Scuttler because why not?
And this may be testament to the slow change in playstyle from the Unicorns. This is not something we really identify the Unicorns with. So maybe they practiced this, maybe they nailed the early game, maybe they've gotten to the mid game, but they haven't really learned how to transition and snowball the lead against teams of Origen's caliber that constantly fight your vision, constantly predict what you're going to do, and constantly move away from you if you don't want to fight.
It should still be some good confidence for Unicorns, knowing that, okay, this meta composition worked for us in the early game. Sheepy can sit backstage and watch this push here on the mid lane from Origen, but still think, okay, where did it go wrong? How can we now execute it better in the next game and then fix it? Obviously, Origen will swap sides and be on the blue side, and Hillsang, he wants Amazing.
He does. Amazing's going to be in a little bit of trouble. He actually flashes instead of taking the Lantern. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication. Look at the top and the bottom lane. Slowly pushing towards Unicorns, if I'm looking at that properly. So Origen may have the option to peel back. They'll have to go top, as it looks like that lane will be in Unicorns' favor. We always talk about it. Play the lane, play the map on 3 lanes, not 1. That's exactly what Origen are trying to do.
Yeah, it's really hard to siege in this lineup for Unicorns. Even with the Baron buff, just the mixed damage output and wave clear from Sivir and Victor are making it so that the minions disappear before they even hit the tower. This is why Origen is now fanning out, trying to out-roam, out-maneuver, but then they can't get caught. This is what failed in the early game, but they've seem to have learned their lesson.
They have good wards at least to spot every single path that Unicorns can take to the side lanes. And now it's just about getting that Tristana in a position where she can hit the tower. She will destroy them at this point here. Let's see, Sivir ulti is ready for Unicorns. They don't have teleport. That is key, but they got everything else to try and engage on Origen.
And Vardags was dealing with the wave down bottom though, while Power of Evil was left alone in the middle lane. It's getting chunked down. Look at this. The wave is pushing up. How much damage will Niels get? There's the satchel. 1 hit only. And that is going to take off a good quarter of the hit points. 1 or 2 more waves, and that's going to go down. But look at Soes. He's nearly on the inhibitor turret, in fact.
Yeah, all 3 lanes getting pushed in, and Unicorns just trying to look for the engage. But as you highlighted, Origen now trying to play a little bit more safe. Don't risk it. Don't get that extra hit on a tower if it means you might get caught up by Gragas and then end up dying. So Origen playing it out a little bit different than what we saw earlier in the game now.
Slight variation in build on Victor 2 from Power of Evil compared to Expected yesterday. He is running some CDR from that Morella Nomicon, but for the rest going, yeah, full glass cannon.
This is their I want to win my laning phase build. Somewhere where you go for that Morella Nomicon instead of the CDR boots, but it does delay your late game build a little bit because you see there's no Void Staff yet for him, and we are now 32 minutes into the game. Obviously not a whole lot of MR on the side except for the Locket, which does still make the Void Staff very effective for the Victor.
Very squishy members. With or without Void Staff, if he connects the combo, I think any member on Origen still drops, so in that regard...
I heard at least.
We've already seen Mithy just completely insta-give Niels without any defensive items yet. IH, Phantom Dancer, Last Whisper, almost Bloodthirst. I mean, it's the near perfection DPS build. And he's been untouched 4, 0, and 2. More than 10 CS a minute as it stands. And this late game Tristan is fully activated.
More so if... Hang on, Hillsang. Who's catching who here? If Mithy finishes that Zeke's later, Expected is caught though.
Expected is caught. He tries to cleanse the knockup, but it won't be enough. He's down. Power of Evil's got him. Void Staff or no. Soes has gone golden. He channeled the Equalizer already. Double kill for Power of Evil after a great initiation by UOL.
Very good engage, but again, Origen, they saw the engage happening. The Lantern from Mithy was not in a position where Peck could take it. Not sure if he tried to save someone else. And then suddenly, Unicorns find another engage, and despite having fallen behind, they get a chance now to take maybe down a tower and get some gold, but Niels is going to do the same on the bottom side.
And their strongest member, their AD carry is split pushing on the bot lane, so Origen will just have to play with more respect and more awareness of what's going on. I have to credit the Unicorns, so this is not the first time they've caught them this way. So they're aggressively looking for openings. They just have to make it more consistent. It is too sporadic. If they can keep this aggression up to the entire phase of the early and the mid game, they actually have a good chance of beating Origen in multiple games.
But we just saw how powerful that engage is. You could have done that 10, 15 minutes ago because it's so easy for you to start these fights. They're going all in for the tower.
The tower's going to go down. Death Sentence only catches Hillsang. Unbreakable Will has started, so the tower's dropped. Pekka has survived. Respawned is the word I'm looking for and made it to the middle lane.
Yields is coming.
Gonna try get the wave clear out. Another Equalizer dropped. It's average at best. Chachi gets pulled back towards the burn. The explosion will give a reset. Are they gonna chase forward? Niels decides not to. They hold onto the inhibitor, get a kill, but their base is exposed.
Yeah, tower went down for the Unicorns of Love. They can still be happy with at least opening up the base, but they gotta be careful now. Recon on top side because there's a long way down to this mid lane tower, and Origen already pushing down this mid lane. They got that Tristana, your towers will die.
Mithy is one step closer to Zeke's Harbinger. We have 4 items, the best 4-item build Niels rather could finish potentially if your support is building Zeke, so keep your eyes on Mithy. If he finishes that, he can spike the crit up, make it so that Niels will crit 100% of the time in every fight. If that procs for 8 seconds, that is enough to straight up win the
It's the dream for every AD carry.
And then it becomes a question of, is Niels' damage better than Power of Evils in the right position? Because PoE has also just finished that Void Staff, so big spikes continue to grow. We're getting later and later into the game. Baron, it will respawn in 30 seconds. It'll put us over 36 minutes, and the Harbinger has arrived. Will Niels be the harbinger of death for Unicorns of Love? The next team fights we'll find out, because they're down to inhibitor turrets and inhibitors on both sides. So one convincing team fight, your base is tickets.
This leaves Mithy incredibly squishy though. No resistance other than the shared aura that he gets from the Aegis, except for maybe some armor from that Harbinger. It's a very AP heavy item, which that really doesn't do too much for Thresh. Extra Lantern Shield.
It's what everyone likes to see. Supports being useless themselves just to buff up all the other members. Everyone loves it.
Except for supports.
Except for the support themselves, where it's kind of like, well, I mean, I also want to carry. It's not going to happen.
Sorry, guys.
It's fine, I'm AD carry now. I don't care.
He switched over to the dark side. Alright, Baron started here by Origen. It's going down quick.
Teleport's coming in from Soez as well. I don't think Unicorns will be here in time. A second Baron, uncontested. This time from Origen, they may get themselves even more. The Lantern pulls Niels to Chachi. 0, 4, 3. Chachi will go down. Amazing. Throws out the Venomous Bite, and that was just, again, too easy for Origen.
Yeah, story of the game, really. Origen had the map control, but they've been caught out a few times, except for around the Baron, where Unicorns are never in a position to contest it. Soaz, though, he's in trouble.
He's in so much trouble. Equalizer goes out, has already channeled the Hourglass, but the Lantern comes in from Mithy. That means they're alive. On the hunt is available. Niels is jumping forward. He's got Horo, he's got the double. He's looking for the triple. Power of Evil is so far away, but Hylissang's going to get over the wall.
And Niels could jump in aggressively because Power of Evil on the top side of the map took out amazing 1v1. But Origen, they don't care. If the main AoE magic damage dealer is not in the fight, that allows Niels to just jump in and wreak havoc.
Yeah, there's 9 kills on the side of Unicorns of Love. 7 of them are on Power of Evil right now. He's the guy you respect, he's the guy you're afraid of. If he's not there to fight, well, you don't care if you're Origen. You can keep going aggressive. You will always win out because your Tristana, your Azir have been hitting the late game.
And your Tristana and Azir now have a 9,000 gold lead. They've got Baron and they've got Supers in the middle lane. This is a replay of what I imagine looks like a bug being squashed beneath the boot. Anything to analyze there, gentlemen?
Technically, spiders are not bugs.
Great. You would have something to analyze from that. that's why I love you, Stefan.
Oh, this is where I say I love you. Yeah, I love you too.
Arachnids?
Arachnids.
Thank you. I'm trying to remember. Baron empowered minions onto the bottom inhibitor turret. Let's see how many auto attacks from Niels it takes to secure the turret kill. Playing it safe, not running the risk of getting caught from that Power of Evil burst. We saw how easily you can squash an Arachnid. Yordles will go down just as quickly.
And now Origen's composition here, they like to be in front of a tower where Unicorns have to engage head first at them because there's no teleport yet for Vizicachi. That's where the Rylai's comes in really handy. The Rumble ulti as well. Mithy standing in the back with the Lantern. We can see Unicorns, they're trying. That's ulti down for Power of Evil. That's very key.
We did see the Talisman of Ascension channel there from Mithy. Horo's going to get caught by the death sentence. Equalizer used to try focus a tower, but look at the burst onto Niels. Tower still stands for 1 or 2 more hits. Cannon minion has been killed. Niels, Bloodthirster, going to be doing work to sustain. They want this tower. Amazing is moving in. He's tanking it. Finds a cocoon onto Chachi. The boomerang doesn't find its mark, and Niels has life sustained back up to 75%. The Supers in the middle lane. Origen may look to try finish.
Panic engager from the Unicorns.
Let's see what they can get. Hylissang's on the front line. Follow Niels. Amazing is trying to zone away Vardags, and he repels out to safety. It's Hylissang that's gone down, and it's Niels that got the kill. Niels has flashed in. He's rocket jumped in. He's going to get another one before being shut down by Power of Evil. It's a 1 for 4 as PoE is the last man standing. He's doing everything he can, but it will not matter. An ace for 2. Origen break open the base. They set their sights to the Nexus turret, and they will finish game 1 of this best of 5. But it was by no means an easy fight for Origen. 40 minutes on the clock. The Nexus will strike one more victim. And Peke and Soaz, two of the oldest members of the League of Legends scene, will be victorious once more.
And die to the fountain, if you are Soaz, of course. But man, this game.
A lot to learn from this game.
Yeah, good start from Origen. We got to see again the work. Amazing in mid lane, setting up the map basically for all the lanes to do well. And yet they managed to get caught up because Unicorns of Love played a really smart mid game, really used the mobility they had here to start the fights, and then they didn't know how to really close it out.
Yeah, some good things for the Unicorns, some bad things for them too, same for Origen. But overall, I'm really looking forward to the next draft phase because the sides are swapping over. Unicorns will now be on purple side, so I think they will have too many bans. They just banned out Kalista, they banned out Lulu. They have to worry about potentially losing the Victor, the Gangplank, the Braum, all these champions that
they're gonna have to
Origen
trade,
left open.
basically.
They will need to trade efficiently, and that's something we haven't really seen throughout the season from the Unicorns overall. And from Origen, they played well in some parts, but they got greedy again. Like they got greedy against Rocket game 1 in terms of picks and bans. Right now, they were pushing 3 lanes, contesting a dragon, and trying to get deep vision. You can't do all that at once.
It's the same early mistakes, though. It's the same early mistakes we saw against Rocket, where suddenly they start falling behind. And as a team who almost beat Fnatic in the final, a team who wants to do well at Worlds, we would assume from the side of Origen, that's not okay. You can't make these mistakes. They got to step it up for next game.
It makes things very, very interesting when we start discussing the relative strength then of Europe. If this is how Origen push Fnatic and then challenge Unicorns of Love. I want to see how Unicorns continue to grow. We will find out in game 2 of the series. But for now, we can head over to the analyst desk with the Triple S threat. Going to take a look at game 1.
Well, thank you very much, Trevor. Very interesting that you talked about the possible performance of OG at Worlds, because actually we asked over on Twitter who the viewers thought was more prepared for Worlds, and this is a great tweet to kick off our conversation, I think, from @Farangenta. Origen for sure, tons of experience in the lineup and not having issues at the moment. Only Xpeke's champion pool worries me. I think this is a great kickoff point, seeing how we saw coming out of picks and bans rather as well. Question marks for both mid laners coming into this, and then they get a Victor and an Azir, both open. Explain what happened and how it got to that point.
Well, I mean, we knew Unicorns play Victor. We know that Peke plays Azir. I would say the Victor being given over to Unicorns is a little surprising for me. It's been a heavy priority for teams against the Unicorns. And Paravival showed us why, 9-1-1 on that champion. So I think that's something that Power probably won't get again. If he hadn't have had such a strong champion for himself in the mid lane, I don't think the rest of the team would have done quite so well. On the other side of the rift, the Azir lackluster again out of Peke. I agree with the champion pool sentiment.
I disagree a little bit because not that much came out of the direct lane matchup, but a lot also about jungler support synergy that we were talking about. Horo and Amazing kind of going head-to-head in the beginning and UOL keeping an even footing.
Yes, that's true. Like, this is really a strong point here because I felt like Hylissang and Horo played way better in terms of 2v2 against Amazing and Mithi. I basically never see once those two players from Origen being together during this mid-game. That's crucial mid-game, you know. And we should have expected Origen to play better in this game. But what I really, really dislike is how can Unicorn let through 2 Barons to Origen with having the team composition for team fights, for stacked team fight, which means around Baron, around Dragon. And they just allowed, since they had 4 pink wards that every time they control, but they never get the Baron, and this is really frustrating for us. I think this is a point that they have to work on with the coach just after the game.
They might be talking about it right now. We saw them there on the screen. On the one side, though, we were talking so much about how much of an underdog they are in this matchup. What are the good things you've seen from them? Because this is another Unicorns than we've seen in the last best of 5s, at least they've played for now.
This was a big step up for the Unicorns. I mean, Chachi was very comfortable in this game from the top lane. Yes, there was the focus from Hylissang going towards the top lane earlier on. But again, as we said, Hylissang can do that. He has done that, and he showed up with it again. Game 1. Okay, it wasn't a win, but he has to keep the mentality of this is what is going to make it work for us. We have to keep doing this if we want to win. It's strange, though, Unicorns making plays like that, despite the good warding from Origen. I think there was a lot of room given over to the Unicorns, despite Origen having good wards for the lanes. that might not happen again, but Unicorns seem to find these angles where they can just get Hylissang into a lane, set up and engage. We saw it later into the game as well.
It was a relatively even 2-point, as you said. Then the Barons were snuck. Then Vardax got caught out a couple of times. And you were talking a lot about, as the game progressed, the itemization in this game. Of course, that point where the Tristana is hitting those crits all over is pretty hard to deal with, but there were some other aspects that were interesting.
I wanted to go back onto this point. So basically what happened in this game is that Origen had 3 threats of magic damage, which were Rumble, Elise, and Azir. But in the end, they had Tristana too, which is physical damage. So the point then into Unicorn's mind should have been, okay, we can decide to shut down the Tristana so that then we can build only magic damage, magic resist, so that we are fine. But in the end, what happened is that Tristana got fed. They still decided to go through Solari, from Spirit, Visage, and Maokai, and so Gragas before. And in the end, Tristana was hitting like if Maokai was Fiddlestick, you know? Like if it was easy to deal damage. And even Niels went through Last Whisper, which was, of course, really good against their comp. But in the end, they didn't have any single item of armor, apart one item from Maokai. But this was, for me, a mistake from Unicorn in terms of way they're playing. And just to go back, last thing about amazing, really good gank, first gank, could put pressure on the bot lane, allows Tristana to get BF over the pickaxe for Severe, and then Tristana and Trash, which Niels and Mitty managed to snowball really well, which made the game like as fluent as it is, and Origen win.
And that's a big problem for the Unicorns. Again, that has plagued them. They love to run these 2-threat comps. And if you're going to run a 2-threat comp and one of your threats gets behind, how do you ever get back into the game? Especially, you know, on a champion like Sivir against some Tristana that's going to scale so well. So Unicorns can't let Vardax fall that far behind item-wise to begin the game in Game 2.
Yeah, their option sadly might not be as wide as it might be on the side of Origen, especially in this game. Well, Origen is up 1-0 in this battle for the final seat at Worlds. We're going to take a break as the UOL look to even out the score, but don't touch that browser. We'll be right back.
You guys know it's one best of 5 and then Worlds. Then it's Worlds.
Yeah.
So you guys should better try hard. Oh. But don't worry, guys. I got the big backpack with like Azi and Victor, you know?
Yeah. Mid laners are starting to roam. 2 men get hit by the flame. Nice. Here comes Pekka. Emperor's Divide throws Horo into Neil's waiting hand.
The fight is breaking out.
Let's find out. Equalizer's already been used, and it looks like you are well. Wow! They've taken out Mithy.
Keep running. Left there. Power people is top. Victor's away. Victor's not there. Victor's not there. We chase Niels.
OG Niels. They will finish game 1 of this best of 5.